Chainsaw Man Part 2 is now well underway, with 22 chapters for you to dive into. We've been introduced to a new cast of characters, a brand new protagonist, some familiar faces, and some new enemies to face. Part 2 is offering something fresh to the Chainsaw Man formula, something that people may not have been expecting. I have thoughts, I have feelings, but overall, I think Chainsaw Man Part 2 is... Hey. After catching up on Chainsaw Man last year, I've been reading each chapter as it releases on the Shonen Jump app. Chainsaw Man is the only series I read as it releases weekly. This has provided a new challenge for me, as I'm often a binge reader and having to wait 7 days for another 20 driving me. Anyway, let's recap the plot of part 2 so far. Firstly, Asa, our new protagonist, becomes the war devil by binding with Yoru after she is murdered by another devil. She returns to school where Yoru helps her become popular. Asa tries to join the Devil Hunters Club at her school, and in doing so, comes face to face with another devil and ends up meeting Chainsaw Man. Asa develops a friendship with a girl from her class named Yuko due to the kindness that they share. And this newfound friendship ends up with Yuko making a pact with the Justice Devil in order to murder Asa's bullies. Obviously, Asa has to then defeat Yuko, and in doing so, Yuko becomes a half-demon, half-devil hybrid. This means that Yuko has to depart because obviously she doesn't look so normal anymore, and when she does, she's murdered by someone who looks awfully similar to Chainsaw Man. As the next arc begins, Yoru tasks Asa with turning a human that she has feelings for into a really powerful weapon. Asa debates whether she wants to do this and which human she wants to turn into this weapon, and she settles on our boy Denji. Denji has been attending high school, and at the same time he's been grifting in order to raise money so that him and the reborn Control Devil can live happily together as a brother and sister. Denji and Asa end up going on a date to an aquarium where they are both trapped by famine alongside the Eternity Devil and left there until Asa is able to turn Denji into a weapon. Asa and Denji develop a bond and end up escaping the aquarium because Asa realizes she can raise money by collecting it from all the repeated rooms throughout the aquarium and use that to purchase the aquarium, meaning that she owns it and can then turn it into a weapon. There's a running theme here. Asa / Yoru defeat the Eternity Devil, and at the very end of the story where we are so far, Asa is told by Yoru that she's feeling love towards Denji, and Yoru reaches out, touches Denji's head, and tries to turn him into a weapon. Bang, 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 end. There's actually going to be 2 chapters out before this video is uploaded, but we're not going to talk about those. So that's the basics sorted, but you're not here for the plot. You're here for my amazing opinions, and I've got opinions. Firstly, we have to talk about Asa. One of my favorite elements of Chainsaw Man Part 1 was the masterful crafting of Denji as a protagonist and the changes he went through the course of the story. So when it came to Part 2 and Denji was practically nowhere to be seen, I was disappointed. So far, it has felt like something is missing from this new character's perspective. Denji is still here, sort of, but his story is more shrouded this time around because we're not seeing things from his point of view. Don't get me wrong, I like Asa and she seems to be following an interesting character arc, but I miss Denji so much and I want to know what he's been up to since the end of part 1. And at this point, I don't feel like Asa has developed as interestingly as Denji, but that should come in time. Next, let's talk about the 4 Horsemen. Definitely not overused story trope that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing. I do trust Fujimoto is going to put his own unique spin on the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse and hopefully show how powerful some of them can be. However, when considering all the different options for enemies and antagonists in a series like Chainsaw Man, especially following up from Makima, I feel as though the 4 Horsemen may be a little too basic and a little too similar to our previous antagonist. Personal opinion can be a sometimes. Despite this, the current mystery surrounding them has piqued my interest, especially bearing in mind Makima's insistency to getting rid of them when she's talking about Denji's ability in part 1. Seeing the infighting between this powerful and extremely dangerous family should promise to be pretty explosive. In part 2, Fujimoto continues to flex his impeccable ability at building interesting characters and smashing them to pieces. Whilst the action, as always, is solid and entertaining, Chainsaw Man has always shone in its quieter and more character-driven moments. The last few chapters within the aquarium have really doubled down on this by developing Denji and Asa's relationship, seeing the weakness in both Asa and the supporting cast, and seeing further into Asa's personality and the way she behaves. But the best example of this in part 2 definitely came from Asa and Yuko's friendship. We saw a story of kindness, mutual respect, and coming together to help one another, despite not being in the best of ways. And of course, in normal Fujimoto fashion, we began to fall in love with and invest ourselves in the story of a particular character, just for them to be brutally murdered when we thought they were free. Fujimoto, I hate you. Anyway, where does part 2 go from here? At some point, I think we're going to be introduced to some familiar faces. For example, Kishibe, Rize, please, and obviously Nayuta. We also have storylines that still need following, like Denji's promise to power. But we also need to build up and develop the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, including the inevitable appearance of death itself, which I'm hoping is reminiscent of the appearance of the Darkness Devil in part 1, which was one of the best moments in the whole manga. So what's my final thoughts? Chainsaw Man part 2 is a continuation of the amazing narrative we were spun in part 1, but in my opinion, at least right now, it's lacking what part 1 excelled in. Whilst part 2 is more of a slow burn, part 1 was such a roller coaster that the change in pace is almost jarring. Also, the absence of any Denji point of view was not the best choice, and I hope we start to see more shared screen time between the two of them. However, this might be me making the exact same mistake that I made with Chainsaw Man Part 1 and just not giving it enough time to grow. Despite my thoughts, there is so much to look forward to. New mysteries to solve and new characters to meet. Fujimoto continues to produce a compelling story with stellar art, and how each chapter ends leaves everyone wanting more. This man has mastered weekly cliffhangers, and I love it. Even though I may be disappointed now, I'll still be reading every single week. Thank you, Fujimoto. Hi, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's kind of a different vibe for me. I actually scripted the entire video out and I hope it's come across in the way I wanted it to. I'm such a massive fan of Chainsaw Man that I thought I needed to throw my hat in the ring with my current opinions on part 2. I'll probably continue making update videos where I feel it deserves it and there's been big movements in the story because I'm still very invested in the narrative in general. If you've enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave in the comments down below what your thoughts are of part 2 so far, and if you think it compares to part 1, or if you just straight up disagree with me. If you want to purchase any manga for yourself, including Chainsaw Man, you can check out the links down in the description. It helps support the channel immensely at absolutely no cost to yourselves. Thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to be alerted every single time that I upload. We're hopefully back onto the weekly schedule now. I'm loving making videos at the moment and I've really enjoyed all your support. Thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.